line with a creative twist, but does he know exactly where he's gonna go? Because we know he's playing on the radio. And does he know he's the director of the show? Because we know there's only seconds left to go. Harness the craft, put it to the grind. Stick to the schedule so that people cannot forget. It starts to show he's got a one-track mind. Ask if he's happy and he'll start to sweat. But does he know exactly where he's gonna go? Because we know he's playing on the radio. And does he know he's the director of the show? Because we know there's only seconds left to go. He sees a window and he goes for the kill. He beats them all until they're gray. But oh no, turns out that it doesn't work that way. Locked in a room, walls are painted green. Scrunches his paper for the 100 millionth time. Throws it into the garbage on the screen. Puts on a face to show that he's just fine. But does he know exactly where he's gonna go? Because we know he's playing on the radio. And does he know he's the director of the show? Because we know there's only seconds left to go.
I just said in a last few pins up. Hi people, I don't know how there are already people here. I'll be right with you.
Where the beginning starts, we're on our way to a future we must see. A lot of moving parts. We'll break the chains and set the planet free. The city lights so bright, you won't believe it's night. Whether above or below,
Hello. Okay, I am ready to begin. I think and I hope. I don't know if anyone stuck around for me setting up chat, but hello to Gamer FY6 Kite, Faith Doggy, how you doing? Baby Rocket, what's up? Rape Stefan, how you doing? And well, that's Baby Rocket again. Hello. So, first of all, just to give credit where it's due, the amazing music you just listened to was made by Shadrow. That's Shadrow. Shadrow. He makes just the most incredible songs, and it's all based on like video games. It's incredible. I'm so ready for Genghis Khan game against Napoleon. I I don't think I'm gonna analyze those. I can tell that the YouTube chat thing I set up is already breaking. Yes, for real, indeed. Hello, Dominic. I'm gonna stop telling people hi every time they're... Well, no, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I don't know how this is gonna go. I have no experience live streaming, so I'm gonna be a little bit... overexcited because I have a lot of adrenaline in my body at the moment. Because this is very new to me. I'm gonna set up some music, and I just need you to tell me if it's gonna be too loud or not. Maybe some synthwave music is quite nice. This is probably a bit too quiet, if anything else. Tell me if this is too loud. Yeah, keep saying hi. Hello, PT Super Stee. How you doing? I'll try my best. I don't know how this is gonna go. So, this looks great, doesn't it? Don't worry, this isn't the only show. I prepared a couple of views, and this is one of them. So, today, I have something special prepared for all of you. I just grabbed a book. I grabbed 2 books. And they're games that are pretty poorly annotated. They're done by like, you know, I feel like a lot of chess books. They just have annotations that are just lines. Sometimes it's just engine lines, sometimes the books are a bit old, so it isn't. And it isn't really explained very well. And I kinda love-hate these books. Because on one hand, it means that they just aren't that educational, which is bad. And on the other hand, it means that you can actually have a lot of fun with them. Let's see. I'm good, thanks. Is this your first time ever live? This is my first time ever live, absolutely. And you can probably tell by the really low quality setup. But yes, this is my first live stream. Man, I have not been making YouTube videos at all before I started this channel. And I've told that to like a couple people, and they were like, but they are so good. And I'm like, no, but they really aren't. I try my best. Panda, you're live. Hello, AT Rider. How are you doing? Yes, I might never do this again. I might also do this very unperiodically. I do not know. But right now, I think it's already great. Hello. Oh, I don't think I can pronounce that name. DJ Yee Badoo. Also, congrats on 8 on... Oh my geesh, dude. Oh no, I'm Bondo Ghost. How you doing? So, let's see. Do I have everything? Alright, so this is gonna be the main view. Okay, I'm gonna turn off YouTube chat. It is just taking up like way too much. Let me turn that off. So, as I'm a Firefox, I'm a red panda, like it's my avatar. So I thought, and I love fire. I'm a little pyromaniac in my thumbnails. So I thought it'd be good. So, you've read the title, I hope. We're gonna be trying to analyze some of the games of the great attackers. And the way I like to do this is I am just gonna look at the annotations. Well, I'm not gonna look at the annotation, I'm gonna look at the game. And we're just going to guess the move, which is a very popular exercise. You essentially just pick a side, and then you start thinking about the position, you come up with candidate moves. And it is fun, and I want you guys to, or girls, to go along with it. Because I think that would be fun. So I have 2 chess players prepared. I have a book here on Paul Morphy, and I have one on Alexander Eliakov. The fire isn't too loud, right? If anything with like the audio mixes poorly, just let me know. 1e4, that's a great guess. So first of all, we're gonna guess the move on a Paul Morphy game. And let me see. This is a book on the first American chess Congress, which he played it. I think he won it as well. And his final game was against Paulsen, actually. Louis Paulsen was a German master. So let's see. Let's take one of Paul Morphy as the white pieces. So people are already guessing. So first of all, Paul Morphy here has the white pieces, so we'll keep it in this view over here, yes. So I'm gonna just go over the opening. Maybe for like some people who don't really know a lot about chess, in the opening you essentially have one goal, and that is to control the center. People will tell you a lot of weird stuff like, oh, in the opening you only need to move every piece once, or in the opening you need to develop all your pieces. This is of course essentially true, because you need to. But I think you can say a lot of the decisions people make in the opening as then trying to control the center. Especially in these old-timey games, because nowadays everything is a lot more complicated. So it's a battle for central dominance, which is why, like for example, someone mentioned the sodium attack. Knight a3 it's a development move, but it's a bad one because it doesn't fight for the center, right? Well, like a move like knight c3 does. So I think that's a very useful way to look about it. Oh, the music is a bit loud. Okay, thank you for letting me know. I'll lower that right up for you. Okay, there we go. What made you pick the red panda? What made me pick the red panda? I have two sorry. Like I said, I need to calm down. This is my first live stream. If anything is a bit unprofessional, I apologize. I'm brushing with adrenaline right now. I like two animals I love and love. Red pandas, firefoxes, and raccoons. So when I made that first video on Pegasus, I did two tests. One with a raccoon avatar and one with the red panda. And I just really love the red panda. So I stuck with that. And here we are. It's not really much deeper than that. I just love them. They're great little critters. And I wanted a mascot because I didn't want to show my face. Because I'm a bit... I prefer my privacy on the internet and all that stuff. So yeah, I wanted something at least. It looks like a raccoon. It really does. Okay, so e4 test, best by test. And that's a great guess because that's indeed what Paul Morphy played. So this is the final game of the first American Chess Congress. And his opponent's response was c5, the Sicilian defense. Which is already kind of shocking, because theory in the Sicilian wasn't that well developed yet. It is of course a lot better developed than people sometimes think. There were like entire books written on the opening. There's actually a copy you can get online for free of the initial book by Howard Staunton on the opening. Maybe we can look at that later. So we're not gonna go through the opening. Like I said, most decisions are made by people trying to control the center and develop their pieces. But guessing the moves here is a bit arbitrary because he played the move d4. Knight f3 is better, but it's just a decision, right? So it feels a bit weird. So d4. This is the Smith-Morra gambit, but they didn't know that yet. So they took. We see the move knight f3 being played. And here the opponent played pawn e6, which, the French variation, I suppose. And let's go a couple moves further. We see knight takes. And here we see the move bishop to c5. So what is this move trying to do? Why do we play bishop c5? It's a very common pattern in a lot of openings. We're gonna get the deepest Smith-Morra prep. I will have to go eat. Ah, that's unfortunate. We're gonna get the deepest... Yeah, we are gonna get the deepest of Smith-Morra prep. But these moves are very common. You wanna win the tempo back, right? You see it a lot in like the, for example, the classical variation. What am I setting up right now? You see it a lot in the Caro, like in this classical variation. You want to develop with tempo. White wins the tempo back, which is always really funny. So bishop c5 just tries to win some time to get the knight out of the center. Also true. Also true. This is such an epic Smith-Morra line. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so knight b3 is played. And I think over here bishop b6, I think we can already start guessing the move over here, can't we? Only Genghis Khan would play like this. He really would. He really would. So, if you have some good guesses for what White played here, it's not difficult yet. But it is certainly... Well, it's certainly a principled decision. That's a nice board theme. It's like the Staunton theme. I really like it. But I just set the pieces to not be 3D, because I think that would be very difficult for a lot of people. Knight f3. That's a really... King e2. King e2 is a great move. Or f4. f4 seems like something Morphy would play. A big downside of f4 is that it also weakens this diagonal. So that is something you have to think about when you play a move like f4. d4. d4 is a fascinating move. King to c3. Another fascinating move. I like knight f3, and so did Paul Morphy. So when in doubt, you develop your knights first. Also, controls a lot of central squares. Helps guard this pawn. I think it's a great move. I don't know... Yes, we're seeing knight c3 popping up. Bishop e5. Let's see, bishop e5. But generally you would like to develop your knights before bishops. I don't really think there is much wrong with bishop e5, apart from that we might not want it here. It is pinning this pawn, but it's not really an annoying pin to deal with. Yeah, I like more of his knight c3 quite a bit. They're the best. You never see them come in. Yes. Alright, let's see. Knight c3. Here they play the move knight e7, which is to me a bit of a strange decision, isn't it? Because I really don't know. There's actually a funny thing. Sometimes, right, you have lines in the Sicilian. Like knight f3, pawn e6. And this is the 4 knight Sicilian. When you play knight f6 here, and you're not scared of this. Very famous opening trap. What do you play? I'm letting people guess. a7 against that. Against bishop e5, that makes a lot of sense. Moving the knight instead of bishop is more flexible, I guess. When you're in doubt, very often it is. Because you knew the knight didn't want to go to a3. You have a check, queen a5. This just simply wins a pawn. Very common opening trap in this 4 knights Sicilian. Because of course in the Sicilian the c pawn moves, so that opens the diagonal. Queen a5! Nice, people are saying it. It took me until now to realize knight f3 isn't possible. Sleep deprivation is killing me. Someone's saying queen d3. That's a fascinating move. Okay, let's take a look here. Knight e7. But in this variation, the diagonal is blocked, the a5 square is controlled, and the diagonal here is blocked as well. So I suppose if you go to f6, maybe you get kicked around? Maybe that's why the knight went to e7? That would make sense to me, because I don't think going to d5, which simply hands material, is very sensible. So yeah, knight e7. I suppose it's not a move you'd like to make, but I suppose you're kind of forced to. King d3 like Pegasus chess. Yes. Okay, let's remove that. Sorry, I have like paper everywhere on my desk. I really should have cleaned beforehand. Alright. Alright, so what's Morphy's next move? So we've developed our knights out. So what's the next goal we want to accomplish? Did you make sure checks, captures and threats and optimizations are done? I like queen e2, bishop e3, and the move f3. f3 is actually a very strange move here. If we're talking about this position, I'm not quite sure what f3 really accomplishes. I mean, Ben Feingold says never play f3, but in this position, it does slightly weaken your kin. Right? It exposes two diagonals. It also doesn't do much to develop a piece or control the center. So it's not really doing the things we want to do in the opening. And what are the other candidate moves? Develop bishops. That's a great idea. Bishop e3. I personally don't love this. Usually, doubled pawns in the center aren't a big deal, because they control a lot of space, but they are isolated in this case. So maybe that's something you might want to at least do with a bit of hesitation, right? Develop light square bishop to enable kinside castle in for white. I don't mind that idea, actually. I don't mind that idea. So I presume something like bishop c4, because it's a lot more... It's a lot more useful than bishop b5. You can just get kicked by a6, right? It might be slightly misplaced here in a lot of these e6 Sicilian lines. Right? Sometimes you get hit with tempo, and otherwise it's just kind of biting on granite. That being said, you do have ideas of sacrificing it in some positions, but... Bishop e2 might be a move as well. Maybe king d2. King d2 is an excellent move. Can I... King d2 is such a good move. Bishop d2. I don't... Ooh, okay, okay. So here's something fun in chess, right? If you have the option... The most natural looking move for me is bishop d3. I don't hate that move. I don't think there's much wrong with that move at all. Let me just put a quick marker in my book. However, yeah, I'm gonna posit something to you. Looking at black's position, right? This bishop has abandoned this diagonal, which is kind of useful for white, meaning it doesn't control some of the dark square weaknesses over here. Now, that being said, that isn't a problem yet, right? Black's position is completely fine. But is there a way we can exploit this dark square weakening while also developing material? At least I'm guessing the moves alongside you. I don't know. Bishop f4. That's the move I would play. I don't like I said. I don't know what move we played here. But I really love the idea of bishop f4. Maybe we even castle queenside. You know? Because I'm seeing a hole over here. It is pretty difficult for black to push d5. And we're not enabling d6. So to me, that seems like a natural move. Bishop d3 makes sense. Is it okay if I cheat with the computer real quick? What Stockfish suggests in this position? Or should we not do that this stream? I think white have a hard time developing his bishops. I don't really think so. I feel like Morphy played queen d5 against Gang. It's gone here. Queen d5 is such a great move. Let's see what Morphy played. Okay, Morphy to play bishop f4. That's interesting. Let's see what Stockfish wanted. I'm gonna check this. I'm gonna check real quick. Whoa. Okay, you're not gonna believe Stockfish's suggestion. Stockfish really likes queen h5. Now that is a crazy move, if I've ever seen it. Huh. I'm not even gonna be kin to. What about queen d6? You know what? I was thinking about queen d6 for a little bit. Because it does the same thing, right? This seems more natural to me, bishop e4. I can't immediately think. Stockfish is on something. I have no idea. If you want to analyze this, do it yourself. I don't want to look at queen h5. So queen d6. Queen d6. Queen d6 is really interesting, actually. So what if we just attack it? Where does it go? Because then we're still gonna have to make a decision. And the bishop, it's not unclear if it stands worse here than on this diagonal. Right, like this is also pretty nice. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Like, I feel like queen will be easily kicked away soon. Like knight c6 and just wait a bit. Also fair. Also fair. Of course, you to a3. You know what? You might be... That might be an idea. It might be an idea. I don't see anything immediate. I don't really know why we're moving our queen around so much. It seems a bit unnatural to me, but I can't immediately find anything wrong with it. And I do see the benefit of having a queen here. It is pretty hard to attack, weirdly enough. Though I would posit that it's probably more useful to centralize our pieces. a3, d5. a3, d5. Ah! So like after queen a3, you want to go d5? Okay. Lots of interesting ideas. I think we'll say that bishop f4 is definitely natural. And here the opponent plays long castles. Which to me looks like a really strange move. Okay, so why does this move look strange, guys? Quick exercise time while I pour some coffee for me. Because it's really cold outside. And I like a hot drink. It's probably not a terrible move, it just feels exploitative to me. d5 after queen d3 to play bishop d6 in the future. So, queen a3 and then you wanted to go d5. Let me visualize that board position. Yeah, that makes sense. That's probably quite... Yeah, and then after ed, ed... Or at least, I presume we want to take back with the pawn. Yep, I suppose it's okay. Wow, you guys are coming up with some crazy ideas. I kind of love that. I'm trying to be normal. I'm guessing pin pawns in the case. Let's see. Piece is not developed. Piece is not developed. That is true. And we don't have a lot of central control. The thing is, if a move is dubious, which this might not be, to be fair. I do think it is. It's usually a very concrete reason. Hello, I just joined. What game is this? This is a game between Paul Morphy and Louis Paulson from the final of the first American Chess Congress. Played in the year 1800 something. I started that sentence and then I realized I don't know the year. I like queen d2. Queen d2 is sensible. Trying to castle long. And you know what? I really... The thing is though, after queen e2, black can just kind of carry on. Like something, it gets very concrete here, like queen d2. I would really love to play d5. Because this last move, bishop f4, tries to capitalize on these dark square weaknesses. So if we get d5 in, we're probably okay, right? I don't know if d5 works concretely. I don't immediately see a punishment though. We can try and pin the pawn. Actually, it's not pinned. What am I talking about? The queen has two defenders. But if d5 is done successfully, black probably stands fine. Because you don't get these same dark square weaknesses anymore. e5 controlling d6. e5 is a good move. It does give up some control of your knight squares. But e5 is definitely a candidate move here. So something like e5. Let me just... Yeah, here we go. Something like e5, knight g6. We drop the bishop back and we develop. It's probably... The knight g6 is a little bit annoying, right? I like your idea. I like your idea, but we're gonna have to find a way to keep this pawn protected. And I don't want to play f4. Let me be very clear about that. Like, f4 seems very weakening. How about bishop d3, standard development? Bishop d3 right now would be blocking our d-file, which is really nice. Oh my god, it's the best chess YouTuber. Oh, it's really not, but thank you very much. I just kinda... I just kinda scream at a wall. And maybe I'm a bit too mean sometimes. Let's see. Bishop do d6 maybe. I think that's it. I think that's it. Like, I don't think we can remove this bishop here. Right? Like, the knight can't come over here because we're controlling that square. The only thing you really have to wonder, something about bishop here, is if we shouldn't rush to develop. Right now, black is so poorly developed. I'd like this knight is not doing much. This bishop is a well-placed piece, but it's not entirely... Like, it's not fighting for the central dark squares that are important right now. Bishop c7. So bishop d6, bishop c7, that's your line, right? You're just immediately trying to chase away the bishop. That does make sense. I suppose that is a bit of a problem. Though, after this capture, now our queen gets here, and now we can't chase the queen away very easily. Honestly, there's a lot of good moves for white. That is true. And a lot about chess is more so trying to... Like, in the opening, of course you have opening principles, but you are just trying to pick a position that you're comfortable with. Right? Like, the engine at the end of the day can scream whatever they want, but they don't have to play your games. You know? Rook e8, queen e7 to chase the queen away. Ooh. By that time, maybe we get a knight on b5, though. But I do see what you mean. That might be really nice. Pawn to e5 after bishop c7, maybe. You know, also kind of fascinating. Yeah, really, yeah, some interesting moves. Bishop c7, knight b5 is an idea. Ah, that is really good. We get the d6 square forever. No, my headphones died. Oh no. I actually really like that move. Bishop d6, knight c7, knight bishop d6, bishop c7, knight b5. That is actually super clever. Not a lot black can do about this. Your best move is definitely to capture. You can take back with the knight. Now we get the square. Probably we're just gonna castle queenside next. I love that play. Alright, let's see what Morphy played though. Could be that Morphy just went like queen b2. Let's see. Yeah, bishop d6. Yeah, the thing is, it's just such an unpleasant piece here. Let me quickly delete this. Promote. There we go. I like b6 here for black after knight takes d6. Ooh, so you're saying here, knight d5, bishop takes there, and pawn b6. This reminds me of some lines in the Nimso, actually. Where you end up with, like, a pawn on d6, and you kind of just develop around it. Though a knight here is really annoying. But I presume you want to trade off this knight square bishop. Which is a really sound strategic goal. Like, you're down on space, so you want to trade pieces. Also, it's very clear that this knight square bishop is a really bad piece. So that's a very sound strategic plan. Absolutely. Let me see. So bishop d6 was played. We don't know what their opponent did yet. Also, this is around the time... I think this might be before chess clocks were set up during games. So they had all the time in the world to figure it out. Even though according to legend, Paul Morphy actually did play quite fast. But yes, it's a really annoyingly placed piece here for the black side. And also, there's no better way to control the center than this, is there? That's a... Oh my god, live stream. Yes. A6 maybe after bishop d6. So right over here. Oh, to prevent knight b5. Yeah, but knight b5 isn't really our only resource, right? Maybe something like e5 knight e4, or just simply stacking on the d file. Right, like if you spend a move to prevent knight b5 to enable this trade, I also get a move to make sure I can keep a piece there, right? But yes, I like conceptually you're doing a good job finding solutions. It's just that, well, a6 is useful, it's not really quick enough, I think. Though I might be full of it. Might be a good move. So let's see. What did the opponent play? Oh, you are not gonna believe what Louis Paulsen played here. It's a bit of a crazy move that I definitely don't understand. They played the move pawn to f5. Can I just mark this as, like, you know, let's be kind. Let's call it speculative. I like the touch of the campfire from the thumbnails behind you. Yeah, I mean, I'm a firefox, right? A red panda, so fire. It is. I was like, yeah, you know what? I just embrace being a pyromaniac. Maybe someone actually called f5. That's incredible. Let's see what the idea is. Maybe f5 after bishop d6 to break the center. Oh, that's incredible. Because when I see a move like f5, my first reaction is to recoil in disgust. But you immediately understood the idea, which kudos to you. Because these chess masters of old were really good at the game, so we can say that they didn't make moves for no reason. f5 is what I would play when I'm half asleep. Yes, right? Like, I wouldn't play this. That being said, the position is super difficult. Like in a game, what do you... Like, I do like bishop c7, but knight b5 looks so annoying. And a6, you just kind of castle. I'd have to calculate a bit here, right? Because a6 is, like... Okay, let me just say this. I hate this position for black. Like, I hate it. So yeah, a6. A6, maybe. Maybe. Who came up with that idea again? Because the more I'm looking at the position, same Moimix. I hope I'm pronouncing that well. Yeah, maybe it's necessary. So let's say queen d2, bishop c7, long castles. And then we want to trade off. I presume something like this. Because, I mean, if this works concretely, why not, right? So, what would be a good move here? Well, knight c6 is supernatural. Sometimes you can play stuff like b5. You know, just to develop the bishop. Other candidate moves. I'm not sure about like stuff like f5 here. Though f5 does have the benefit that white can't capture. But they wouldn't want to anyway. Probably you shove through or something. I really like white here. Absolutely, right? Ace is bishop 7, b5. Okay, yeah, so b5. Yeah, that is healthy. To get the bishop developed. Rook e8. Feels a bit slow. Feels a bit slow. To move the knight and put the trade the queens. Yeah, feels a bit slow. Maybe even like e5, knight e4. I'm just saying, like, you're not going to distract the... Like, you're not going to extract the piece from this square. That being said, we're getting some trades in. We're not allowing knight b5, which looked very annoying. So A6 might be the best shot. Okay, anyway. Louis Paulsen played the move pawn f5. Which I'm gonna still label as speculative. After e5, rook f5, f2 is solved. That is fair. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's continue. So f5. So in situations like this, very often you have 3 options. Well, 4. Support the pawn. Ignore. Right, you can ignore the tension. Capture and push. So we're gonna keep guessing the move. We're gonna keep guessing the move. I don't like taking. There is a pin, so the knight can't take back. But I'm not quite sure. You also really can't take here because... So probably take, rook takes. I don't like this. Yeah, no, I don't like that at all. That looks really bad. So let's say taking is probably out. f5, e5. e5 makes sense to me in the... Considering our current strategy seems to be dominate the... I was going to say central dark squares. They're not really central squares there. e6, e5. But it makes sense from the perspective of trying to dominate. Cool fire, bro. You keep suggesting pawn g4. I like your gusto. I really like your gusto. You're thinking, well, we're gonna castle opposite sides, so we might as well get these pawns rolled in already. The thing is, I'm just such a little, like, small, tiny, little positional player that I can't comprehend such moves. I'm gonna turn a lamp on in my room. One second. Alright, let there be light. Yeah, I quite like e5. Do we even have to discuss other... Is there a point to ignoring? Like, I suppose we get the knight here. Queen d2, pawn takes, knight takes, bishop c7. Maybe playable. I think pushing gives such a promising position though. Like the knight can't jump into here. This bishop suddenly becomes very awkward. Because it's preventing the mobility of the b-pawn. So it's gonna have to go here. Dude, your voice is really cool to listen to. Oh, thank you. I don't know what to do with this compliment. I'm sorry for being a bit awkward. Maybe bishop d3. Ah, so you wanna... Oh, that is clever, actually. Because we're noticing there's a pin, right? So, first of all, we're seeing that if black does nothing, then here, the knight can't capture because the rook will be hit. The rook can't capture because the rook will be hit. And the pawn taken just really weakens black's position. That is a shockingly clever attempt, actually. That is a really clever attempt. I am noticing this alignment. So maybe there's a tactic. Bro, blushing so hard. Shush. I don't wanna... Listen, I don't wanna be... Anyway. The thing is, Okay. I don't wanna be a wholesome streamer. I wanna be actually entertaining. So there's some alignment here, so there might be a tactic. So... Take it? Creates a threat? Maybe we can even flip the move order and just capture outright. Taking, you just have knight takes, which defends the pawn. So what happens after bishop f2 takes? Ooh. Actually, so this is a big threat, isn't it? I only noticed that when, like... Ah, the more... I'm starting to understand f5 a lot more. King d2 for white is so obvious. Bishop f2 is nice, yeah. At the very least, I'm seeing black wins the material back. Frees the position a lot. White's king is suddenly looking a bit like an idiot. So... I wouldn't allow it. Oh, that is... Okay, you know what? The more I'm looking at this position, the more I'm understanding f5. Okay, so bishop d3 is probably out. I think this only leaves pawn e5. I'm only thinking about e5 here. It is the most natural move, but a lot of people are suggesting ideas. Which is fun, which is really fun. We're now finding, like, really crazy attacking ideas black has. So yeah, e5 seems to be the most natural. Maybe just don't capture f2 back. Whoa. Okay, so like bishop d3 takes and... Well, we can't go to f1, certainly. So maybe we finally get king d2. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. I probably hate that just as much as like capturing. I told you it was soft. You were absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So yeah, e5 for sure, right? Like there's actually no way Morphy played anything else. The thing about Morphy's games, right? They're shockingly accurate. Yeah, e5. e5, absolutely. And the opponent played a6, which is a move we've been thinking about for some time now. Makes sense, keeps the knight out. So we get this move. Hi, Colonel. This is the Ooga Booga chess I signed up for. Hi, Colonel. How you doing? Yes, so here we are. Yes, we're analyzing a Paul Morphy game. We're gonna go through the great attackers. And after this, I also have a book on Alec Jokken, or Alekine, or Akin, or however you want to pronounce his name. We're gonna also take a game from that. So yes, very, like, clever little ideas. So what are we thinking here for the white pieces? What are we thinking here? I like f4 for white, before e5. I suppose that prevents bishop f2, but it's still a bit weakening. Anyway, let's move on, because we can probably analyze a single position all day. Like, I probably could. So let's just... let's get to this position. I ate some corn just now. Blasphemy. Queen f3. Ooh, what's the idea? Knight d5. Whoa, you're seeing something crazy. That square is controlled 2 times. Also, if both the people suggesting f3 and knight d5 could elaborate a bit, that'd be very useful. Yeah, so a6 preventing b4. Pardon. Preventing knight b5. Which makes a lot of sense, I think. Like, a bishop here is great, a knight there would be better. Doing amazing, just got some burns in. Chemistry. Ooh. I like queen h5, just putting it near the king and preparing to castle. Alekhine is my favorite player right now. It is one of the players you simply have to study. Alongside Paul Morphy. Queen d2 gotta come at some point. Fair, long castles. That would definitely be a candidate move here, by the way. Like, absolutely. Queen d2 long castles and think later. I love that. Maybe a4. Ooh, we're going after the bishop. Yeah, so the thing is, the bishop wants to go to c7. So we're kind of forcing black to make a correct move. Bishop c4 looks natural. It does look natural, actually. Maybe it's a bit misplaced. Because our next move is going to be this. And it's going to be b5, right? So you could argue it's a bit misplaced here. On the other hand, just because it can be attacked doesn't mean that's a real big deal. Though we have black in such a bind, I feel like we should be playing a bit more ambitiously. G4, maybe. G4, it's still a fantastic move. I want to play H4. I feel like we can extract more out of this position by developing. Like, usually these moves are actually useful, but maybe useful later, after we've castled them. Now, a lot of people mentioned Queen D2. That would certainly be my go-to move here. Get long castled, exert more pressure on the D6 square. B5, Queen F3. So after, like, Bishop C7 here, and then like Queen F3, which pins the B5 pawn. I presume that's the line you're thinking about. That makes sense. We could just play Knight C6 first though. Lock in the diagonal. And then we can still play B5, Bishop B7. And then I'm still thinking that yes, the knight would be pinned, but if we can't immediately like use that, then it is clear that the queen's a bit misplaced, right? I would pre-move G4, H4, F4. But it's too bad if we let... Is it so bad if we let black trade on D6? No, not really. But the problem with Bishop C4 is not that we're letting black trade. The problem is that it might be misplaced if B5 ever comes. Because ideally in a scenario when black plays B5, you want to immediately get something on this diagonal, right? So in that light, Queen F3 but also Bishop E2 makes sense. So if we continue with this sort of natural play and we go for B5, we immediately get a piece here. Which might be very annoying. It might also not be. It might also absolutely not be. I like Queen D2. I would probably go Queen D2. Queen F3. Knight C6. And then Knight to C5. Ooh. What are we thinking about that one? Oh, is there a tactic here? Takes hits the queen, and then suddenly you can't take back because then the knight is heading. Do we have an in-between move? Hard to say. It looks a bit, it feels a bit loose. I feel like there might be a tactic. Queen F3. But B5, you go Bishop E2, goes Bishop E7, you go Bishop F3. That's a plan. Well, black bishop blocking his pawn, no? The bishop blocking the pawn here. Yeah, but we can't really prevent bishop c7. Let's see what pawn move he played here. Oh, that's surprising, actually. He went bishop e2. So let me just delete, because that's what we just analyzed. Let me make this the main line. Okay, bishop e2. Wow, so not queen d2, long castles. Fascinating, actually. Because it seems a bit more natural for me. Is there something wrong with this? Dude, knight d2 looks so interesting. Like in this position. Oh, we're rerouting via e4. Very clever. Or we're going to c4 or something. I mean, we're still in the opening, so... Okay, best move, use the engine. We can check with the engine real quick. Maybe it's bishop e2. That would be so awesome. Let's turn on Stockfish. Okay, the Ooga Booga chess wins. The best move is pawn g3. Is it to just go bishop g2 immediately? That kind of has to be the idea, otherwise I just absolutely don't get it. I'm not going to check what it sees after bishop e2, but it's not one of the top 3 moves. Queen d2 is also not in there, by the way. What happens after queen d2? Oh, it's like... No, it's like such a marginal evaluation difference. Let's leave that as an exercise to the reader. I said this. No way. G3. G3 is crazy. I kind of love that. That you actually found this bishop ID's beta move. Dude, that's such a beta move. What? Ew. I am a GM. Screw the engine. I'm seeing the two camps split up. One is saying like, I hate Stockfish. The other side is saying, our savior. I said e5 and follow with g3 earlier. You're fantastic. g4, best move. Almost, almost. I would love to lie to you and tell you that g4 was the second best. But it would be a lie. Let's see what Louis Paulsen played here. But yes, I would definitely play queen d2 and queenside castle. You know what's really fascinating to me? So this is an old book before the engine. The book is actually given the continuation pawn f4. And it's just spit in a really long line. Well, the engine didn't come up with f4. And some people did. So if you found f4, know that there's at least one old-timey, like from the 80s grandmaster that agrees with you. So you're also valid. You also came up with a good move. Bishop e2. I didn't come up with this. I would play this, but yeah, you know what? It makes some sense. We see b5 come in at some point, so we want the bishop here. Makes sense. What is computer eval in this position? Like 0.8 maybe? No way. No way. That's absolutely no way, right? Because this is so dominating. There would be some real engine. It's like plus 1.2, 1.3. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. But it's like, no, this feels so crushing. Like, look at the lead in development we have. That being said, we can't exactly open the center right now. But if we don't get an attack, I'll be so disappointed. My earlier idea seems to be plus 1.5 with the h4 and 4 pre-moves. That's incredible. You understand chess on a completely different level. Okay, so here the move is knight b to c6, which is super sensible, of course. You know that everyone in chat is going like, boo, we hate sensible moves, sack the rook. Immediately the moment I'm being like, you guys don't come up with sensible ideas. If someone's saying, sack the rook, do it. Or you wanted black to sacrifice the rook by moving the knight. Because that's the only rook sack I see. I'm gonna check what my 1600 Clico engine thinks about this. That's awesome. Alright, let's see. Yeah, so knight bt6 has been played. So what are we thinking now? Knight b to c6. We could still go queen d2. Now that f4 has been pointed out to me, we could play it, I suppose. We could also... g3 now doesn't make any sense anymore. Because the idea was the fianchetto. If we're gonna queenside castle, h4 makes more sense. And I'll say, at this point, g4 makes slightly more sense. I still don't see the plan, though. Again, I want f4 and ooga booga. You know what? So you want like pawn f4, and then no matter what black does, you want like h4, g4, something like that. The thing is, I can learn a lot from analyzing these great attacking players. Maybe not quite Morphy, because I have studied him extensively. You don't really understand the opening until you've studied some Paul Morphy games. Just short castles, honestly. You know what, that's fair. I've been very focused on the idea of queenside castles. Because it just quickly centralizes a rook. But I think that's probably nothing wrong with just castle in short. Absolutely. We could prematurely put the bishop here, but I don't really see a need to. Other candidate moves. Other candidate moves. If you have to twist my arm. A4 probably doesn't make any sense, right? With this plan in mind. Hi Red Panda. Hello Grand Miner. Yes, no matter what, go with attack, like bishop h5 stuff. Ooh. I'm learning something. Okay, let's see. Oh, short castles. Short castles is interesting. Someone did call that. And here black went... Oh, rook f7. Black is forced to make so many ugly moves. Boring with short castles. That's amazing. My engine says plus 0.5. That probably means you have a stronger engine than mine. Which is always a bit of a problem. Engines are so strong nowadays that they're a bit useless. Right? Because the way you always think about chess positions in the past is that if black has... Or sorry, if one side has problems, they're a bit worse. If they have unsolvable problems, then the other side is winning. But the engine is just so good at solving problems. It can actually any endgame. That if you have a strong engine, it will almost always be like plus 0.3, plus 0.5. My engine is made on scratch and worse than me. Ah, I see. Hello, Ulex. How you doing? Ulex is a Road to 2000 YouTuber that I beat in the Alien Gambit while blindfolded. And they've been telling me to upload that video ever since, which I will do. So you guys have that to look forward to. Who said who short castles? It's probably sensible. This is a very ugly move though. I wouldn't play this unless I see no other choice. So what do we do? I do see a problem with short castles, and that is that you can't go f4. Finally broke 1700 again, awesome. After 3 draws in a row. Probably against stronger players then. So it's nice. G4! We just castled short. Why do you still want this? Why do you still want to go short? No matter how strong the engine is, G4 is still not recommended. My man, Stockfish 17 might not agree with you, but Stockfish 30 is gonna avenge you. Stockfish 30 is gonna play G4. Me with the heck short castles here. It's so ugly and boring. F4 can be played. I think you have a good point. I think you have a good point about castling short. The thing is, instead of bishop e2, I would have loved queen d2 and long castles, but I also feel a little bit like I shouldn't criticize Paul Morphy's play. You know, one of the greatest players of all time. Like, it's just as likely that we're wrong. No, says everyone in sync. It can't be us who are wrong. Bro watched Pegasus chess and just pushed them pawns video. Didn't he say never to push pawns? Anyway, we should get back to analysis. So, what are we thinking about this move? It is super slow and bad, so what are we recommending? I'm seeing king h1. I presume the idea is to unpin, so we can go f4 anyway. The thing is, I hate how sensible that is. Because I feel like if you play king h1 here... And why did we castle short? But so this seems like an idea of people who really want to go f4, which I agree with, by the way. Morphy or Tal? Right now we're looking at Morphy. After this we're gonna look at Eliopen. We might, if we do another stream, look at Tal. The thing about Tal games though is that they're like so complicated and my little brain can't handle them. They're really complicated. Because he sees these sacrifices so far in advance. Bishop h5 might be interesting here, by the way. No one's really suggesting it yet. So let's see, what are we saying? We're seeing play f4 right away, right now. Do it. Bishop c5. That is a strange looking move. This is the pride and joy of our position. Why would we move it? Why would we do our opponent the favor? Someone is saying knight a4. I don't entirely understand why we want to push this bishop here. Oh, you know, I get why you want to push this bishop here. The idea is to play f4. So you're saying knight a4 to force the bishop to commit to a diagonal. And by the way, knight a4, if you stay on this diagonal, now I do love king h1. Because this bishop here is so dumb. Like, this is such a poorly placed piece. So it's definitely gonna go here, and then we can play f4. Something like this, right? Or maybe you want to make a move to, like, solidify this. But this is probably your idea. That is a really sensible move, actually. I don't immediately see a problem with it. We're going away for the center, so sometimes that's a trigger to do something. The problem is black is so passive that you might as well. d4 with move. Bishop c5 is another move I'm seeing. So let's look at bishop c... Oh, sorry, no, that I already looked at that. That's a weird move. Knight a4, maybe c4. I prefer a4 over knight a4. I can understand that intuition. a4 is a little bit slower, but it keeps the knight well centralized. So then there's like bishop c7, right? Because we could do this prophylactically. a4 does have the added benefit that it helps control b5, which is pretty nice. So do you want to prepare this f4 move, or do you just want to go with it right away? Because I'm thinking, I don't see an issue with f4. I don't immediately see an issue. Because taking, like, I don't know how we're gonna challenge the queen here, right? And I do like a4 in the sense that we might get some sort of positional bind. At the very least, we're controlling b5 further, which is nice. c4, c5, and knight a4 to shut out the bishop, then f4. I actually don't mind knight a4 at all. I actually think it's a shockingly clever move. With the idea to go f4 immediately. I like that idea, actually. Yeah, let me remove some of the lines we played. This is some cool music. a4, black doesn't need to react immediately. That is true. That is true. The thing is, though, white also would love to get a5 here. So, in that case, sometimes prophylaxis is really nice. When you know a5 is a good move. So then you get out of the way, so that, like, after the trades... like, I don't really know how to explain this, but if you allow a5, you have to engage with this move. Rather than you try and get something... You try and squeeze a move out of white spending this tempo afterwards. My overlay broke mid-recording. And now you can't see the hate file. Oh! That's horrible. I feel like black doesn't have any good moves, so white can do a slow move like king h1. I actually do like king h1. But it does feel a bit like we're admitting to. I might be tempted by it. If I spend a long time in this position, I might be tempted by it. I might not after we've already committed the king to castling. But after rook f7, it is true, you can just kind of do whatever, right? It's such a dumb idea. Oh, I love this. That if the queen ever lands on d6, I want to go a5 and... Huh. That is on board fishing. I want to go a5 and... It might actually not be a bad idea at all. It does weaken the b5 square somewhat, and even if a piece lands here, it's really hard to develop the side square bishop. So that's the main, like, downside I see, but it's not getting very concrete there. Let's look at what Paul Morphy played here. I like queen d2 and rook d1. Also fair. Let's see, we're at move number 12. Let me remove this again. King h1. Wow, who called that? I think a couple people did. Dominic, you called it. Awesome. No, slow. No slow moves. Only fast moves. I actually do like knight a4. I also like pawn a4. I think they're all really strong moves. But the thing is, though, it is kind of a position that you're so dominating. There probably are only good moves here. I do think I picked a great game. Like, this is fantastic positional play. Me, awesome Dominic. Of course, it's f4 and bishop takes g1. So king h1. So we can probably predict that this will be the next move. Or maybe not. The opponent plays f4. Ooh. So that makes sense. The idea of the previous move was to put a knight here. Wow, I should stay loyal to my first suggestions. No, come up with more ideas. That's fun. Because I did remember multiple people suggesting it. f4 is fantastic. Actually, is it though? It does create a lot of weaknesses. Because it is... You're critically underdeveloped. And you are creating weaknesses, right? Like now the knight can hop into e4, for example. This would be a good move. Just immediately exploiting the fact that black has weakened some of its light square control. While this bishop's still doing nothing. g4. Still seeing a lot of g4. I've seen a lot of g4. g3 after f4. I have looked myself in the mirror a couple times before playing a move like that. Jenna, but is it like I would not play g3. So let me just look at something what's natural. So if the idea is knight f5, we could play it. So we probably don't want to move the bishop. So my main candidate move here would be like knight e4. I think we're just kind of weakening our position. It's like it's not clear immediately what we're doing, establishing tension here. Yeah, I don't like g3. I mean, it's not even that concrete. You don't even have to calculate much here. I just don't really see a need to touch these pawns at the moment. I like g3. Then it probably is pretty good, because you've been suggesting great moves. I wouldn't, but maybe Morphy agrees with you. We'll find out. Hear me out. Queen d3. Okay, I'm hearing you out. Lay it on me. Lay it on me. So what is your idea after like knight f5 or something? So why not bishop d3? We'll look at that later. There's no attack yet, so no point of making pawn breaks. That is a good like way of putting it, I suppose. We are just kind of trying to squeeze black at the moment. Also, even in your best case scenario, g3 seems to me like an attempt to open the f-file. If we don't do that timely, that it might mean that that gets a lot of trades in, which isn't very good. And we don't have an attack yet, as was mentioned, so break and open the position isn't really... So why not bishop d3? We'll look at that later. So someone is suggesting queen d3. So I'm just thinking, like, I'm just making a move for black, like knight f5, and I'm asking, like, what's the plan? I would play knight e4 on autopilot. That was my first intuition. Right, I saw f4 and I was like, oh, that's probably a really good move, and then realized, wait, it really weakens e4. So in a blitz game, I would play that in approximately, like, 2 seconds. Knight e4, maybe 1 second. My scratch engine goes for bishop d3. Wow. Is it just me, or is the audio kind of quiet? Oh, well, I mean, there's always an emergency solution of just upping the So why not bishop d3? The bishop d3 does feel a bit scrambly. I suppose your main idea is to control f5. It also just put in a bishop on the now slightly weakened diagonal. Are we really prepared to take this though? Because I also don't really love that idea. I'm missing the idea with bishop d3 a little bit. Yeah, and gh5 is possible. Queen h5. Oh, right. We want to move the queen. So here, right, just making a move. So we want to go queen h5 immediately. So now I'm seeing an idea. So I do agree we probably want to kick the queen. I wouldn't go g6 immediately. I would probably first offer the trade of dark square bishops before doing something like that. Because this bishop is never gonna contribute to the kin side, right? So yeah, it's just that the audio in this videos is a bit louder compared to this. I do not know. I do not know. Also, I talk louder in videos. It's just a thing. I'm not that bombastic. If g6 our knights will be happy when we reroute to the kin side. That is true. That is true. Yeah, g6 is very, very committal. Like I said, I also just bishop c7 first. You know, maybe g6 isn't actually that useful. Yeah, maybe this idea is alright. Bishop d3, queen h5. We are mobilizing our pieces to the kin side, which is something we want to be doing. Alright, let's look at some other move. g6, yeah, g6 is a very committal move, absolutely. You can get knight e4 would absolutely be my move here. But let's see what Morphy played. I'm seeing a lot of interesting ideas. So let's see. This is on move 13. Knight e4. Okay, yeah, this makes sense. And the opponent responded with knight f5. This really seemed to be the plan as well. Also, yeah. Yeah, also this is really the only square a knight can go to, right? Because bishop h5. And I don't think there's any way we can sack the exchange. And also this seems to be the main idea of the previous move. People are saying g4 now. The scratch engine... Ooh, so you found a tactic. So bishop d3. Oh, pawn f3. Yeah, that definitely works, right? Yeah, 100% that works. Holy. Great move. That's a great move. Okay, so knight e4. I called it! Let's go and entry Rupert. Even if knight f5, bishop h5. So you still want to go bishop h... Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. g6 is super weakening. Yeah, bishop h5 is just a really strong move. Definitely he played it, right? Can we just give this a go? Bishop h5? I didn't even consider that. I'll be honest. I'll be honest, I didn't either. And that's so silly. Like, this is definitely the type of move that I'm usually really good at spotting. From, like, further ahead than my opponents. So I'm thinking bishop h5 is just fantastic here. Any other ideas? How about bishop a3? And black can never stack up on the f-file. Let me think. Bishop a3. So it's dodging an exchange. Or at least it's dodging a trade of material. I don't like it. First of all, we're handing a pawn. I don't know if it can be captured. It probably can. At this point, black really frees the position, right? But I also just don't like the idea of moving this piece. Right, we put our knight here. Like, black taking us is super helpful. This knight is a beast. Let me see, knight g5. Ooh. Like, a very similar idea of just attacking the rook. I just now realized how perfectly the picture frame around the chessboard has been cut out. Oh, no, no, no. No, I did it way cheaper. I just put a chessboard on top of the picture frame. It's not... Oh, can I? Yeah, there we go. Like, just put it on top. Your ID doesn't work. Knight g5. Sorry, I was looking at chat. And someone suggested knight g5 to attack the rook. Yeah, this just... It's working. That enhance the knight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would probably play bishop h5. We could make other improvements. A4 is always in the cards, right? So bishop h5. Yeah, g6 is weakening, but it would be the horse in line that you're gonna have to check. So the bishop could go back to e2. We could also consider going to f3. Right now that we have to move it anyway. Yeah, I mean, I like this. This just looks really nice. Just provoking g6, put the bishop on this diagonal. Yeah, I kind of love that. More would say to play bishop h5 and skip. That's knight c5 blocking that annoying b6 bishop. Queen g4. Ah, queen g4. Right, so g6, queen g4. Is that your idea? I don't think it works, by the way. I think this is just very annoying. Yeah, I wouldn't go... I would just stop the bishop back. There's also queen g4. A lot of people are pointing it out. Oh, it's just the same person. Let's see, we're also thinking of rook g1. I think I know what the idea of rook g1 is going to be. Like here. Is it to push the g-pawn? I feel like white is not getting anything here. What, in this position? Oh, wow. It could be that there's a better move. Sack. You want to sack an exchange. Fair. 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 If not a move like g6. g6 is super weakening though, so I get the tendency to just sack the exchange. It might be better. But you're at least gonna have to check the more forcing lines. Okay, let's see what Morphe played. So we've seen knight f5. And we're on move... Let me just delete this move real quick, so I delete the analysis. Yeah, move 14. Yeah, bishop h5. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if this is not a move, I would be so shocked. I mean, g6 is a very weakening move afterwards, I think. Would you like I would be predicting either this and then bishop f3, or black sacks the exchange. The problem with sacking the exchange, it neglects the creation of further weaknesses, but it solves none of your problems. So then black is still in a terrible position down an exchange. Okay, what did the opponent play? We're still on move 14. Yeah, pawn g6. So now where do we go? My first idea was bishop f3. But I could see see some people saying queen g4. I just don't like this. Like, after queen g4, you need to tell me what we do if they play bishop... sorry. You need to tell me what we do if they play rook g7. On everyone's soul, he played queen g4. Yes, you can tell me that, but what do we do here? Help me out. If you're seeing something that I'm not seeing, then you need to tell me. Queen g4, oops. You can play knight f6 check. I see. Okay, so this is... yeah, this just creates another pin. So, king h8 is essentially forced. And do we want to sack? I don't see that working. What do we do here? You can play knight f6 check. Yeah, I agree with you, same Moimix. Like, I really don't see it. Knight f6 would juicy, but there might be an overloading tactic with the e5 pawn. Also, a motive to keep in mind. Right now I'm seeing just the tactic of the bishop being trapped. Oh, the music stopped. Let me put up some more songs. Oh, I'm getting a lot of recommendations like, you're reading alone at the Victorian London by the window. Let's just give that a try. Oh, there's like rain sounds as well. Oh, the problem is I might actually fall asleep. I might actually... This is too relaxed. This is way too relaxing. I can't handle this. I'm just gonna put up more synthwave music. There we go. Are we feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? 92, wow. Yeah, I think I'm gonna look at the engine. I think black is just winning here. Yeah, it's like -3. Yeah, no, I like, we have such a beautiful position. At the very least, I don't see why we would tangle up our pieces. So I don't think I like queen g4. Like, we spot a pin, that's nice, but it's tactically, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, fair, I don't think there's anything there. I mean, I like how creative it is. Though, but when we're looking at these pins, if they unpin, Especially like with a piece that looks through the same like either diagonal or file that the pin-in piece is doing, right? Then that gets very risky. Yeah, we looked at knight f6. Like here, and then knight f6, king h8. And that this position Stockfish says is -3. I just checked. So g6 has been played. So I would go bishop f3. I could understand people wanted to go back to e2. I kind of like bishop f3. Let's see what more of you played. Let's take a look at... I need to open the book again. I only buy... no, not only, but I mostly buy paperback books. So... They always like... They always just close themselves. Let me see, we're on move number 15 now. Bishop g4. Oh, I have no idea what the idea there is. Knight d2. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Andre. I misread that. Okay, let's... Well, we know that the engine doesn't like this. But here the idea is to play knight to d2. Presumably to just reinforce this. I'm still seeing a lot of problems, though. I don't think we're solving our issues, per se. Like, am I insane? Like, what's wrong with just taking here? Stockfish just isn't manly enough to sacrifice his bishop. I'm also not manly enough to sacrifice the bishop. Okay, so Morphy played bishop g4. And the opponent went knight g7. Really? Wait, so why did the knight come to f5 then? Why wouldn't you just take? So like knight takes... yeah, knight takes for sure, right? Probably rook f8. Well, it's definitely better here. But knight g7 looks so ugly. I guess he was scared of queen f3. Oh, we have so many considerations, but I don't think queen f3 is it. That being said, it might still be a very decent move. Either come into the king side or like... Queen e2 might be a good move as well. Queen f3. Queen e2. I would like moving the queen and then just bringing the a rook over. Because I feel like this is the type of position. Black doesn't have anything. We might not have anything concrete yet. But if we can just mobilize all our pieces, we're gonna have a win pretty soon. I feel like c4 in a lot of these positions to go for the b6 bishop. Alright, so you want to forcibly extract this bishop from this diagonal. Yeah, my first idea would be to mobilize our pieces. Queen e2, queen f3, something like that. But c4 seems reasonable. We're essentially going to force this bishop to finally commit to a diagonal. While further cementing in this square. Yeah, I love c4. Have you considered optimizing your position? Yeah, that's what we're thinking of right now. It's really hard. Which is strange, because there's a popular chess YouTuber that keeps telling me to just optimize. Even a4, rook a3, bishop... sorry, even a4, rook a3, rook h3 is an idea. I just rook left in. It's slow, but it's very Kasparovian. This is the Kasparov idea. c4. Yeah, I really don't see an issue with c4. That's like not a tactical problem, not surprising considering how passive black is. Positionally, it makes a lot of sense. Force the bishop to choose and further cementing the square. c4, kudos. h4, h4, h4. h4 looks sensible. Wait, no, it doesn't. What the hell? This is the effect of the crowd. People are suggesting moves, and my first idea is to be like, oh man, someone thought of this, so it must be good. And then I realized, no, it's really not. So really bad idea, actually. The thing is, it wouldn't surprise me if it's still somehow good for white, or at least better for white. I just wouldn't play this in a million years. So low-key don't matter considering how bad black's position is. Quadruple brilliant move. Yeah, with 4 exclamation marks. Oh, I read a old like chess book of my dad, right? He was a pretty good chess player as well back in the day. That's how I learned chess, wanting to beat him initially. But by the time I even could, I was already a strong tournament player. Like back in the day, so this must have been like... Oh gosh, probably was in the 70s. The 70s or 80s. Probably the 70s, he was quite young. He was like 1800 FIDE. Which was the... something like that. 1800 something. So by the time I could even beat him, I was already quite a strong tournament player. Anyway, that's enough about me. G7, C4. C4 I do like. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of suggestions, so we're just gonna look. Yeah, Morphy played Queen F3. Yeah, I understand this move a bit more. I'm actually suggesting a lot of Morphy moves. Maybe I just kind of remember this game subconsciously, because I've looked at a lot of Paul Morphy games. Unk. How come you only has 11 viewers, Panda? Oh, I don't know. I think 11 viewers is already quite a lot. I mean, I cannot keep up. I'm pretty confident in C4. I love C4. It's a really strong consideration. This is a bit less Ooga Booga, because we're playing with our pieces, we're mobilizing to the king side. Should have stuck with my first guess. Also, looking at the areas that like most of my viewers come from, it is right now either like 3 in the morning for most people that watch my videos, or it's like working hours. So it doesn't surprise me at all. But you know what? Everyone important is here, because the important people are the people that are here. Let's look at the move. Black played h5. Which I suppose is a downside of our bishop, though this is I would say this is probably horrible. I'm from Somalia. Whoa, that's awesome. That is really far away for me. Like, okay, so h5 I would characterize as a move that is simply thinking that your position is way better than it actually is. Because I do not believe that black's position can support h5. I don't know, we're not guessing the move for black, so I'm not going to. Probably like some like bishop c7. So what are people thinking? More of you would play bishop f5 against Genghis Khan. Bishop f5 looks like a very impressive move to make. It might just be a losing move though. But it will definitely have people look at your board and be like, whoa, what are they thinking? What a crazy, like, if you're playing at your chess club, like, whoa, let's try and figure out the idea, because that's incredible. And then they find out that there's no idea, and you're just full of bits. Might be an idea. We could draw back, that's the most sensible idea. I've not seen anyone suggesting sacrificing. I mean, I wouldn't, but I'm just happy that no one is suggesting it. But I'm not seeing a lot of, like, resign. That's a great move. Always resign. Probably just bishop h3, right? Yeah, more if you just play bishop h3. I'm rooting for black, because Paul Morphy wins too much. That is true. That is true. And you know what? I kind of feel that. Because even though I do love Magnus Carlsen, I always root for his defeat. Because he's just too good. He is simply too good. So it's fun to see other people win. I hope I didn't step on anyone's toes. His opponent played... I always forget I need to look at the opponent's moves as well. Queen h4. Queen h4. Queen h4 looks okay. I mean, the hand of... sorry, that... the hand kind of wants to play g5, but now I do think g4 probably just wins, right? Yeah, no, g4 is just too strong, so... Queen h4 makes sense. So what do we play here? Venda, guess where I'm from. Your name is Andrew Rupert. So I'm guessing you're from... Bishop h3 is in max security prison. I don't think this is as bad a piece as you think it is. This is gonna be... If this bishop comes to life, that's gonna be very interesting to me. g4 was always the best move. I kind of didn't want to suggest this, but I kind of thought that, like, the most, like, what the hand wants to play is something like this, but, like, g4 just shuts that down, and you can't take. So, like, this position gets bad really quickly. Wait, why does g4 work? What's wrong with, what's wrong with, so what do you say? What's wrong with h4? I suppose nothing's wrong with h4, but it's just like... What are you doing? Right, like... g4 simply has no idea anymore. And it's not like the king side is now locked and like we're still gonna get in. h4 might be the best defensive try. I do think it's a bit of a sad move to have to play. So, let's say I just play bishop g2. Then, like, what do we do next? Because your pieces are still... Yeah, no, I just don't see this. I would have much rather kept my pawns like this. Instead of overextending. Like, now the queen always has to guard g5. And... Like... No, I think we're exaggerating our problems here. But maybe the engine really likes g5. I'm just saying that it's a very natural try. But I'm thinking g4 is just too strong. Could be that the engine likes this. I just don't. I just don't. But what if they blunder knight takes g5 though? What if they blunder that? Exactly. Oh, it is not nice that the queen has to constantly babysit it. Right? g4 was always the best. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So what are we thinking? I mean, black's position is very defective. I want to play this. I don't know if anyone disagrees with me there. I really want to play this. I don't even think we need an idea. This is just the ideal position, isn't there? There's also no tactic of overload in it, because this bishop is not under attack. In fact, rook takes, pawn takes, queen takes. We even can take on f4 if this trade happens. Maybe black can free the position, but that seems super depressing. You have failed to guess my national... Did I even do a guess? I'm gonna say you're Swedish. Rupert. Probably something like Germanic. No, it seems British. Andre Rupert. I'm gonna guess you're just American. Anyway, I would play knight f6. Let's see. Knight f6. I'm gonna say Ukrainian. That's an interesting guess. I think I'm lost. Where are we? We're currently at move 18. And I'm just going to go through the last move. So we provoke g6. The bishop went here. Then this knight made this horrible g7 retreat. The queen went here, which allows us to bring our final pieces in. Bring a, another piece to the kin side. h5 was played, which is just way too optimistic. Bishop dropped back, queen h4. And now knight f6, which the book agrees with. Why else would there be fire? We are in hell. Okay, people don't like my stream. I'm sorry. We're in hell. It's real, and it's in the Red Panda stream. Sorry, I need to look at the opponent's moves. King h8. Yeah, seems like the only move. Actually, it is the only move where we can sack the exchange. But that doesn't seem very playable. Doesn't seem that good. So now we need to come up with a plan. So I'm gonna let people guess first. I like the stream. I just don't like how it's gonna end. Oh no. Oh, that's foreshadowing if I've ever heard it. I need to, like, I'm constantly wanting to call myself by my name. In third person. If you're trying to improve, you should try calculating first yourself and then discussing with chat. Yeah, the thing is I'm really bad at streaming. I tried to record a couple times me actually playing chess, and every time, like for example that account that like I've shown in a video, I have some other games on there. Some games I throw, other games because I was doing voice commands. Because I was doing blindfolded. The voice commands just made the strangest moves. But the entire footage is just me being quiet. Because I can't talk at the same time. Which is why it took me so long to. Do you give up guessing? Here, in this position. I don't give up guessing at all. I would guess a couple of moves. If we're establishing candidate moves, I'm seeing a huge defect in black's position. The g6 pawn. Or g3 is not a great move. But yeah, I would love to put the queen on the square where we target g6. That would be my first idea. Rook e1. To go rook e4 and target f4. It's a bit slow. It's a bit slow. I would probably play something like bishop d8. If I see my opponent go... I don't know which rook you're referring to. I presume it's going to be this one. So that we don't destabilize f2. So then bishop d8 would be my move. So it's probably alright. It's definitely still better for white. It feels just a little bit like I like these moves because it comes with a threat, right? I feel like we need to analyze more for black. We stopped doing that after f5. That is true, but the position is just very annoying. But you're right. You're absolutely right. So let me go with my move. I don't know if there's a difference between queen d3 and queen e4. Conceptually, queen e4 pins the f-pawn. And queen d3... I mean, I suppose it keeps eyes on d6, but I don't think that's particularly important right now. It's either g3 or queen d3. I don't think g3 is as good a move as you I don't think g3 is a great move. I just feel like we aren't going to break through without the rooks. You do have a point. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with queen e4. I think it does the most out of my two suggested moves. So let's see, how would black defend themselves? It's actually a bit difficult here. There's actually one upside I see now to queen d3, is that after knight f5 we can take without the queen being hit. That being said, I don't know if we want to take. So that would be an upside to queen d3, so let's say queen e4. Maybe knight f5 is a defensive idea. I actually am starting to see that. Okay, hang on with me. Queen d3, knight f5, takes, and something like knight d2. Oh, never mind, didn't see knight f5. Yeah. It's shockingly annoying, actually. So I'm thinking, actually, I switched my mind to queen d3 because this tempo. So maybe this idea. Actually, this knight can go to other squares as well. But knight d2 is a useful move. I'm getting a bit annoyed that black's position isn't collapsing. Also, considering everything, maybe we hand on this trade. We actually don't have to do that yet. And it is probably more principled to wait with it. How about g4? g4 makes more sense than g3. Actually, I don't... Do you want me to analyze g4? Wait, bishop f2 though. G3, bishop f2. I'm not understanding these moves. They're too like high level for me. So I was first thinking that capture, but maybe just knight e2 first. Are we concerned about bishop f2 in that position? I don't think we're ever really that concerned about bishop f2 in any position. Want me to, like, if we're talking about this position, I'm pretty sure this just loses, right? This is like 400 elo chess. Oh, 4000 elo chess. Yeah, g4 is 4000 elo chess. I don't understand. But yeah, I don't think bishop f2 is a problem. Like, I think it probably just instantly loses. So I don't think we're ever concerned about this move. Also, I would recommend against being too greedy in positions like this. Like, black has a lot of problems to solve here, right? So just being like, I'm winning pawns, yeah, let's go. I don't think that's like the most sensible try here. So right now, knight f3 is a huge threat. Right trap in the queen, so probably some prophylaxis to escape. Knight f3 anyway, queen h6. So now we've made a lot of improvements. Our knight did nothing on b3 and now it's over here. Panda, you failed to guess my nationality. Darn it. No. This was the most important thing to me. I thought there would be counterplay after bishop f5 with bishop f2. Oh, yes, yes, yes. But I figured... The thing is, you can wait with this move. So I don't see why we should even play it right now if we don't have anything concrete. It's often good to keep tension, right? Especially if you're the one attacking. Sorry, we're not in this position. We're here. This is kind of what we're analyzing onto. I don't know, something like this. This looks really nice for white. We've brought another piece into the attack. Successfully. Oh, gosh, I'm actually thinking this is a huge problem, isn't it? Oh, man. Wait, oh. Did I blunder that at any point? No, because if you take, your queen still gets trapped. So... sorry, what was the line here? It wasn't that. It wasn't this. Oh, it was like queen 92, queen g6, right? Yeah, 93, queen h6. Those are what we're calculating. So now is the first time we really need to worry about this threat. Black actually has resources, that's incredible. Is g5 now an idea in this position? For black, or like g5, g4. Maybe, but black has a very concrete threat right now, right? Black wants to take here and take here. Well, queen can take back as well, but... Let me just say it like this. This is a bit of a problem. It might be worth taking now. Yeah, no, black can't solve its issues. Okay, so prediction. Either queen e4 or queen d3. I like queen d3 more, because queen e4 knight f5. This capture, and you kind of have to move this queen. If that capture ever comes. So queen d3 might be an improvement. Knight f5 to protect the pawn. Knight d2 to trap the queen. Queen g6, knight f3, queen h6. And then probably the capture. So that there isn't any problems here. These pieces are super nice. I feel like I'm kind of going a bit insane. I'm starting to... Trust it. I'm kind of, you know... I'm kind of starting to understand people like Apex Chess. And I have a newfound respect for them. So let's see what was played. So... King h8 was the last move, right? Okay. So queen e4. Actually. So that's interesting. I was thinking queen d3. I presume we're just not concerned about this then. Like what? Take queen f3 back? So we're like keeping our eyes everywhere? I don't really see why queen e4 is an improvement over d3. Queen d3 was my original guess. Yeah, I was there too with you. Well, my first idea was queen e4, because it also establishes this pin, right, in this position. Which just like you know, A+, but then I realized knight f5, and you always get hit with the tempo. So then I thought I switched to queen d3. Everything defended though. Yeah, true. Alright, let's take a look. This was my analysis here. Black here played the move queen g5, which also does defend the pawn. Okay. So let's think, what do we do here? Let's see if we can find some suggestions. You are making analyzing chess games more fun than my chess coach used to. Oh, thank you. I mean, Guess the Move is just a really fun game. I make it a thing to every Sunday morning kind of analyze a Grandmaster game. And then I just play Guess the Move, and it takes me hours. If only we did some Jacob Aggett calculation books, we could have done these a little bit better. I mean, I have the book. G3 now. Or G4. I mean, yeah, we do wanna... I mean, like... Yeah, I see why you wanna. That's the problem. The thing is, I wasn't a big fan in the previous positions when you were suggesting it, because it just blunders the bishop. Right? Now G4 doesn't blunder the bishop, but I saw G3 recommended here. I was like, yeah, great move. Moving on. So yeah, queen e4. And then... So I suppose now we're not blundering the bishop anymore. So it could be played. I'm also seeing G4. Okay, you want to analyze this. Knight e2. Knight e2 is definitely a good move. G3 is super interesting. But yeah, knight e2 is a good move. Yeah. Okay, let's look at G4 real quick. I don't even know where to begin, to be honest. It's the best move in every situation, especially in the opening. You love the grob. This is getting too complicated for me. G4 is also getting a bit too complicated for me. So, en passant is forced, if the internet is to be believed. And I presume our plan is to do what? Like, we could open the rook. I'm also seeing a bit of a crazy move here. Look, now I'm making chat proud. Now... You guys are influencing me. You're being a bad influence on me. I learned solid positional chess from my coaches. And one stream did all of that. So yeah, queen h6 forced. And then what? Oh, we could like put a knight here even. We have converted him. I'm gonna have to make a video all about dynamism in chess. F4, rook g1 genuinely looks good though. Absolutely. No, this looks like a great position. Sack the rook on g1. Yeah, just give up the exchange. At this point, why not? Like, you're given an exchange, but black is down 2 pieces. You did a stream to help us learn, but instead we made you unlearn chess. As is meant to be. As is meant to be. Yo! How you doing, Susu? So yeah, you know what? The thing is, it is time for Ooga Booga chess, isn't it? It absolutely is time for some Ooga Booga chess, because black is down 2 pieces. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, absolutely, what are they gonna do? I might still not sack the exchange, but anyway. Or play c5, c... Ooh, yes, yes, yes. And then we get everything. Then we get a cake and we can eat it. We don't even have to play fast, by the way. Okay, so g4. We also saw g3, which looks like a... also very reasonable, like... plan in this position. So, we looked at this... Right, this just transposes that position. Looks horrible. So maybe f3 is an attempt. I know it gives a pawn up, but like... Actually it doesn't even. But anyway, we should maybe keep the position closed. What if instead of moving your f pawn to f4, you move it to g4? I gave you guys g4 once. You greedy buggers want to play g4 again. I already gave you one g4. This is what I've always told me. Red Panda. If you give them a finger, they'll take a hand. They won't be satisfied with g4 once. No, no, no. They are gonna demand g4 again. Okay, let's look at g3. f3, rook 81. Rook 81 makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love rook 81. Yeah, we still can start winning our pieces. Let's just take with the rook and get all our pieces activated. This position's too tough. Let's just draw and live our life. Man, if you offer your opponent a draw here, you are doing something, but it's not chess. My coffee has grown super cold. I am moving away for 10 seconds to throw my cup away. Throw it away, I say. I'm gonna leave. I trust you guys to behave. This is what trust looks like. Okay, there we are. Holy stream delay was even so much. What are you analyzing? We're analyzing Paul Morphy against Louis Paulson from the first American Chess Congress. They gave us the ability to push pawns 2 squares for a reason. You are absolutely correct. I resign so that I can sleep. There is no sleep for chess players. You don't need sleep. You need bullets until 4 AM. Alright. G3, like F3. I mean, it's a band-aid. It doesn't actually help. I mean, you could take, but I am more. The more I'm looking at it, the more I'm just thinking. You know, I don't do tactics. I don't target weaknesses. I play G4, and if it doesn't work, I lose. I can respect that. I can respect that. Some people are playing chess to like get to a higher rating, and other people are playing chess because they really like the letter number combination G4. That is not G4. We need Ooga Booga. Yeah. In a position like this, Rook F4 and some like Rook F3 looks really nice. But just anyway, this F4 move I think is a real problem. So I don't think this works. It's really hard. Like F3 might still be best. Rook D1. I'm gonna target this. Let's see what Louis Paulson played, so we can just move on. Sorry, let's look at what Paul... I assumed we already found the move. Anyway, Ugh, I mean, if I can get one last guess in, maybe he just prints the rook first. No, no, you idiots. Let's see. Oh, it's G3. I'm sorry, guys, it wasn't G4. Though G4 looks interesting as well. I like G3 though. And Louis Paulsen played F3, which we already kind of looked at. Here we said Rook 81. But yeah, I mean, the idea makes sense, trying desperately to keep things closed. Which is something you kind of want to do if you're being attacked. However, like, your position is so bad, like, everything loses. I'd rather drink coffee for the energy and not for... Okay, so... That is true. Caffeine does make you do that. Bishop G2 attacking the F3 pawn. That's a genius move. So I presume your calculation was something like Bishop A7. So we can finally free our position. And then you just capture. Yeah, that's really clever. You know what? I think this is a really good move. In fact, I'm gonna award it a double exclamation mark. No, why not G4? Bishop D2 is really... It's really smart. The thing is... Like, it's so hard to defend this. You're down 2 pieces. Oh, pardon? You're down 2 pieces. So, what are we thinking about? Candidate moves. Give him the GM norm already. For Bishop G2 alone, I would avoid you the GM norm. I like Rook 81. Right? Simple plan. I also like 92. Actually. Do you guys see the line? I'm kind of waiting for people to like react to 92. Do you guys see the line? I'm waiting anxiously here. What is Red Panda thinking about? 92 is a really good sack. Like, I like Rook 81, and from a distance, right? Rook 81 is good enough. I see it. Queen takes G6 is devious. Hey! Yeah, I... This is like... Like, you take Queen G6, and gosh, how do you defend this? Yeah, even if you think, oh, I'm second the rook, you're still, like, checkmate. Right? Hey, come on, can Red Panda get some, like, credit for this one? Yes, Queen takes G6 then. So, first of all, we're threatening checkmate. If you sack the exchange, we're still threatening mate here. Just analyzing this line. Let's see what's a good defense. Like, of course we can move the knight. So let's say we do that. We can quickly take. We're still threatening checkmate here. So it can't be take. No, this is checkmate. This leads to mate. So, other lines. So, maybe we can have the rook defend the square. Right, that makes sense? But like here, look. So there's no other way to like... I don't see a defense. No way to defend. There's no defense here. No, but like people are asking. It's like... And then what? Other lines. Black doesn't take on D2. Oh, also true. Also true. So let's see. What's a good... Because yes, this leads to forced checkmate. There's a mate here, there's a mate here. The knight can't move, the rook can't give itself up. Because we just capture the knight and there's a checkmate in one threat on G7. Oh, you're saying knight f5, queen h6. Wait, what, queen h6? Queen g8. Yeah, no, it's just made in one. yeah. So yeah, no, this is just, this leads to a quick mate. So, not taken. Right? Not taken. It's not, like, easy here. It's not easy to defend this. Like knight f5, for example. Knight takes knight. Queen has to move here. We take. Probably we just slide the queen out of the way. I guess black is surviving here. Knight f5. Yeah, that's what I was thinking here. But I was kind of looking at this position from a distance. Or bishop d8. Bishop d8 is also kind of interesting. So we should definitely throw this in. Someone made a suggestion for me just to think first myself before, like, and I'm sorry, that means that I'm gonna have to be like quiet and stuff. So we should definitely throw that in. I like bringing the rook. We're not quite breaking through yet. I think the black's queenside is paralyzed. No, this is like incredible domination. The 5th world champion, Max Oiwe, once said what made Paul Morphy special was that he was the first ever positional player. And games like this really illustrate that fact. Yeah, rook 81, eh? This is probably just good enough, right? And I sack the black rook on f6. Let me close my window real quick. I sack the black rook on f6. Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. But I think it's good enough. Also, if you allow knight d2, right, because this leads to checkmate, then this is definitely a win for white. And we can always mobilize the rook later. So I think knight d2 is probably just the best move. What about... Is this some e6 Sicilian, by the way? Yes! Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the pawn structure didn't move, so that makes it a bit easier to tell. But yes, absolutely. Okay, so we're looking at 92. And this was in the bishop d8 line, correct? Yeah, we're talking about the strong bishop on f6. Right, so knight f3, queen h6. And I think our move was rook a d1, rook takes, pawn takes, bishop takes. Was this it? Something like this, right? Yeah, there might be compensation for the exchange. I see what you're talking about. And it wouldn't surprise me if this exchange sack is quite strong. I mean, you're definitely worse. Like, let's start there. And after a move like knight e5, you're gonna have to take, right? So like takes. And we're still just kind of like horribly positioned. Like we can't play b5 because of bishop g2. Well, we can play it, but like this. I mean, like, come on. So we still can't really free up our position, right? Though I suppose you have the b5. There's like d5. Thinking about it. I don't know, I presume just double in on the file and... I mean, this game... It's better than the previous position. I do like the exchange sacrifice. But it's definitely good enough to be winning. Let's see, what about knight h4 instead of rook a1? Okay, so let's look at that here. So, this was still in this line. And we don't play rook a1, which, I mean, I guess I did kind of just play by hand, right? There was like no real idea other than let's just quickly make a move. So you want to play... Sorry, what was the move again? Knight h4. Right, okay. Well, our best defensive try is very often... moving our knight here. I suppose we could throw in this capture, but maybe we want to leave the door open for an exchange check. So I assume something like knight f5. Like, let's say takes, and then we could move our queen to e2. And then we are definitely like telling black to capture. I like maybe in this line that like a second the exchange is not quite like necessary. Take. What is nice about this is that we can actually finally play b5. You know? Like bishop g2, you can actually put something on this diagonal. So maybe, it's interesting. I like this as a black defense. And then g4 as an idea. Okay, let's move on real quick. I agree, there are like still pretty good defensive tries for black. Which at first glance is actually quite shocking. So let's see, what did we look at? No, 92 was my suggestion, right? So we're at move 20 right now. Okay. Yeah, move 20 was f3. Ah, yes, 92. I'm going to give that a exclamation mark. There we go. Can't be captured because of this, leading to checkmate. And here was played... Ooh, bishop d8 was played. I'm gonna go to sleep. Good night. I'm gonna be there next time you stream, hopefully. See you later, man. Who knows when I'll stream next. Okay, let's see. Bishop d8. So definitely we definitely throw in knight f3, right? Like there's no need at all not to do this. Let me just take a look. Yes, knight f3, queen h6. Alright, let's go on from here. So what are we thinking? Any thoughts? Like we were already thinking about... I heard we're getting daily streams until we reach 1k subs. Oh no, my free time. I need to also, you know, make videos. You realize this, right? Yeah, 92 is awesome. If the exchange sec comes, I'll become a GM. I'll be rooting for you. So, rook a1, which is kind of the move I played by hand. Knight h4, which comes with very concrete ideas. I believe knight h4, planning f4 is a nice move. Yes, absolutely. We have some concrete threats. That's also a positional idea. Knight g6 check. Yeah, that's the idea of knight h4, right? Like, my assumption would be people really love the pressure we're exerting. Which makes sense, it's like the most direct approach. And we also have this idea of f4, which is really nicely spotted by FRXT... FRXST1X. It's nice. Playing against the queen. It's very often good to... There's actually one thing I learned from Leela Night Odds, which Chess Network has like a lot of great videos on. And that is that it's very useful sometimes to just pick a piece and play against it. Knight h4, knight f5 seems the best. There's also rook to 81. And there is... I think those are our candidate moves though. Either we bring the last piece to the party, or we go for some very concrete play. It's pronounced frost probably. That's true. I kind of figured. I just... The thing is, I'm really scared of saying a slur. Like, someone like misspells a slur in a weird way, and then I say it, and I'm like, oh no. Chess Network Peak mentioned. I love his videos. I've been watching his videos for so long. He is the best at analyzing top level games right now. Hands down. Okay. Sorry, wait, where were we? Yeah, we were here. This was the position. People were also looking at g4 for a while. Is bishop d5 a candidate move? With the idea to go to e3. Ah, right, we're noticing that the queen is running low on squares. The thing is though, right? Yeah, Simon's already had. Yeah, because this is what I was thinking about too. Like, knight f5 is in a lot of lines an important like resource. And we're like barely not in time, right? Because if we take, they take, they're also hitting our queen. So, it just doesn't work. It's an interesting plan, but knight f5 controls e3, and the capture hits us with the tempo. Panda, did you know I'm from Trinidad? I didn't know Trinidad was a country. I do also apologize. In what continent is it? I feel so uneducated. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I think we don't wanna make a move. It's a clever idea. We're noticing that the queen is low on squares. But we don't want to make a move that is sort of nicely met by an idea our opponent wants to play anyway. And our bishop is doing a great job here, right? I'd 100% manage to lose this as black. Me too. I would lose this as black as well. As white. Fair. No, I would convert this with white. I have faith in myself. A lot of misjudged faith. A lot of misplaced faith. Let's look at g4. Because that's a move people like. There's definitely an idea with rook g1 coming in, right? So it takes. We have actually two ways of taking back. And they both seem about equal. Unless we can somehow go complete Ooga Booga. You guys are changing me. I don't like this. Bro, I take full insult. Oh no. E4 doesn't look that good. Yeah, but people want me to analyze g4. Maybe bishop sack. Yeah, I don't like g4 that much either. Yeah, I like these ideas. Let's see what Morphy plays. Ooh, rook g1. Wait, am I reading it right? Yeah, rook g1. What a What a weird looking move. Hmm. Hmm. I presume that this is not worth it, right? Like, we have a lot of dark square weaknesses here, so this seems like an attempt to lose the game. Giving up that bishop. I mean, the idea is definitely g4, but like... daily streams would probably lead to your elo falling to 400. g4 is the move of the people, that's why I was looking at it. But then someone brought me back to my senses. And was like, no. No. Don't do g4, and I thank you. But rook g1 is clearly has one idea, and one idea alone. So I guess Morphy is a man of the people. It's a strange move. But this is the idea. Oh, Morpheus. You guys want to know the ideas? Like, if we do nothing here, let's say b5, I don't know. Take, take. Guess the move. Oh! I think that's the idea. I think... is that the idea? Because if that's the idea, that is wild. Let me think. Yeah, that was my idea too. When I said g4 5 moves ago. That's crazy. Does it work though? like, does it actually work? Takes, takes, and... well, queen takes h3 is a really interesting move. I mean, this is disgusting chess, right? If this is the plan. I think I'm right, though. It works. I'm thinking, but yes, like, take and take, and this is winning, right? Maybe you can take the knight, actually. To rain on your parade a little bit, because black is getting a lot of material back. And of course, if you first take here, the queen just escapes. And now, what are we doing here? So I don't, unfortunately. Oh, I looked away for 1 minute. Oh, Morphy played rook g1. And I said the idea is obviously g4, and I didn't get it. And then I saw a crazy line. Pawn g4, so I'm like, black does nothing. Pawn g4, pawn takes knight g5. Was a little idea of mine. And I was asking if it works. Unfortunately, I think black has bishop f6. Rook takes, queen takes, and black wins enough. Queen takes, there is mate. Yeah. Okay. I see your plan. Ooh. I gave up on the idea too quick. Okay. Queen take. Oh, even worse. Sorry, I just saw this. But yes, sorry. My mind just kind of melted. No, but that's the idea even of knight g5 to begin with, right? It's interesting. Let's see what Morphe played. Let's first see what the opponent did. Is it queen takes g3 or fork? You mean queen takes g6? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you win the material back. Bishop e7 followed by rook takes f2 looks interesting. So after queen g6, bishop e7, that's the plan. And then you want to stake with the rook. So after a move like queen g5, okay, I'm setting it back up. This is a bit interesting. So b5, g4, pawn takes knight g5, threatening mate, takes, and yeah, sorry, we're analyzing this line. Take, bishop e7, and so now it's this threat. So after queen takes g5, you want to play rook f2. I mean, at the very least, right? Queen h4. Best move here is to close the tab. My brain just exploded. Then the best move probably was to close the tab. Yeah, I don't think it's good. Yeah, I think this just wins. I think knight g5 is kind of brilliant. But we'll see. We'll see what... first of all, let's see what Louis Paulsen even played. I saw rook g1 and I was kind of baffled at the idea. Like, oh, there's knight g5. Sorry, what move are we even on? We're move 23. We're going through this so quickly. I had so many... Okay, let's see. Bishop f6. Oh! Oh, he doesn't want to do nothing and let us checkmate him. That is so unfortunate. Okay, now this pawn takes back. I read ahead. Knight e8. Not that it matters, you kind of have to. And I saw the next move again. I had to turn the page. So I just saw like... okay. We're not gonna analyze the next move. I'm sorry. But I did see it's bishop f4, which makes sense. Okay, so only looking at Louis Paulsen's move this time, please. Okay, knight takes f6. Bishop f4, never mind. Yeah, he played it. It's g4, it's g4, it has to be g4, he has to play. Okay, so he's counter-attacking the queen. That's like the big idea here. I want to let people come up with an idea before I say anything. Also gives me time to think, which is nice for me. So what are we thinking? Queen takes c6, that's a really nice idea. It's also just the most clearly winning move, so I'm assuming Morphe played it. Straight up wins a piece. Yeah, no, everyone agrees, queen c6. It's also kind of obvious. Okay, so they played queen f4. Of course, so now we play this with check. That's the whole combination. Yeah, of course, rook takes back. Now this move is forced, I presume, so I'm just gonna look at it. Yeah, pawn takes f4. And now the move rook takes c2. Okay, white is up a pawn. White is up a piece. If the desperado the queen, we take the b with check. The b. I love that. I'm gonna incorporate this. Knight g5. I'm gonna actually end the analysis here. This endgame looks very simple to convert, actually. And we do have to move on to the next game. I have 2 games planned for all of you. My analysis tonight has been a bit sloppy. I do apologize for this. But it's my first time streaming, so I hope you forgive me. You don't suck. You don't suck, Shad. Or... Shat. I'm so much shot. Yeah, so this is played. I'm gonna show the rest of the game, just for people's sake of completion. So here they played rook a to c1, makes sense. Bringing the last piece into the game. White activity is important. Rook f2. Rook c8 check. Knight g8. Oh, so passive. Knight e5. This makes a lot of sense. Though I suppose it's still a bit premature, but... So let's see the rest of the game. Rook g7. He takes g6. Oh. Oh, black is just falling apart here. Sorry, I'm seeing... Am I looking at this correctly? Yes, I am. Knight f8. King h6. Knight takes d7. Ooh. Simple tactics win games. Rook takes d7. And of course we take. Yeah, this rook. Rook takes f4. Bishop e6. Rook e7. We probably have some checkmate here, right? Yeah, rook d6 check, king h7. Bishop. Wait, it's saying... Oh, pardon, the other rook. Being a bit of an idiot. Bishop g8, king h8. Made in two, everyone. Yeah, beautiful. The g4 stream. I'd lose this as white. I'd be impressed if you lost this as white. I could do a stream on Capablanca at some point if you wanna go over other ideas. Okay, that was the Morphe game. And I did promise a game of Alekine. Already 3 hours in, so I'm starting to feel tired, but we're gonna power through. We're gonna power through. Also, I did promise to spend some more time with my partner later tonight, so... But anyway, let's look at Alekine, or Alekine, or Alekine, however you want to call them. So let's see. It's Alekine against... Mykinus. Very famous player, but I actually never had to pronounce their name. And Alekine at the white pieces. So I'm going to skip over the opening. Still, like I said, opening, mainly a battle to control the center. This is a different book. This one is annotated a bit more, so I'll try my best to not spoil myself too much. So the opponent played g6, which is, of course, the modern defense. We're surrendering control of the center, but if you know anything about modern chess, not really that big of a deal. Knight c3, pawn d6. I don't even think this is that modern of an opening, by the way. Anyway. Knight d7. Bishop c4. Always be careful of center fork tricks. Not in the air, of course, but just saying. Short castles. Knight d7. Pawn a4. Grabbing space, short castles. I'm skipping over a lot of moves here, but we're still in the opening. Pawn h6. Queen d2. I'm also presuming people have seen this a million times already. Pawn h3. Pawn c6. Okay. So, we can... I think this is a good moment to cut it, because this is the first time that the author of the book shows a picture of the position. And that probably means that they want to mention something. People are still predicting the first move. Okay. We're 10 moves in, guys. If we predict every first move, we'll be correct. Okay. So, c6. What does c6 do? It controls some knight squares. fights against this knight, and I suppose against this bishop. It also further supports d5. However, what are the drawbacks? c6 stops defending the d6 square, which is now weak. So, someone is still on the first move. Okay, so we're obviously preparing d5, right? That's clearly the plan by the opponent. I really think it's gonna be the sodium attack. Well, then I think that you might be thinking wrong things. It's so salty. You are thinking wrong. That's a crazy thing to say, isn't it? Let's see. Knight a3 is interesting, but what about knight h3? Look, now we're thinking good thoughts. Now we're thinking the type of thoughts that are gonna make me, I don't know, get an exorcist or something. So what are good ideas? Maybe we play e5. e5 is interesting. That gets super concrete. e5 does have downsides, I will say. And that is maybe something worth mentioning. When you have a position like this, right, with these two central pawns, they control a lot of squares. So you very often have positions where you see the engine and most good players recommending some central pawn break. And usually that's because you have an uncastled king, or you have such a big lead in development that opening up the position is really strong. And oftentimes it's also when there's like a bishop for knight imbalance or something like that. In this case though, we're just controlling squares. So it might be a bit premature still. Like e5 or e5 was the move, right? It does weaken some squares. There are a lot of reasonable moves in a position like this, by the way. Like, I don't see any problem with just centralizing, for example. Also, by the way, prophylaxis d4 is coming in, so bishop d3 makes some sense. Also, this move did just weaken d6, so bishop f4 is a move. d5 is coming though, so... It depends. If you want to meet d5 with e5, you play someone like bishop d3. If you don't care, you play something like this, or you continue centralizing. Maybe knight e2. Right, so you see this bishop, so your idea is to play c3. I presume that's the plan here, right? Black's white bishop is terrible, that is true. Okay, so obviously the idea by black was to push d5. So we should do that. We either take or we draw back. I'm a bit inclined to retreat here. And then black either takes or plays c5. The thing is, that bishop is very likely to open up there, right? Though opening the position, we probably do have a kinside attack. I'm thinking about who benefits from the position being opened. Let's see. Bishop d3 doesn't work. Okay, let me go back. So instead of knight d3, bishop d3 doesn't work. It seemed reasonable to me, but it doesn't work. Takes. Sorry, here. Oh, in the position with knight d2. Knight d4, d5 here. And then you're saying takes, f5 and f4. I'm a bit confused why this doesn't work. Oh, g5 before f4. I was gonna say. Well, I would say this is still far from a refutation, right? Okay, so you want to play e takes and then d3 because you want to have access to this diagonal. How is black gonna prevent you from gaining access unless you are thinking about like c5 potentially being strong? But yeah, I understand. I understand. I also think this is just a good prophylaxis move here, right? Like getting out of the way of this, and like when you either take or push, your bishops are just really nicely positioned here. Maybe f5 stuff doesn't work, but how about knight d5? Like here. That is quite interesting. There's probably not much to do here, so let's just play something like c3. Now, is your idea here to give up this knight for this bishop? That is an idea that has positives and negatives. I still like b4 for white. I'm not really attacking much here, but I get what you mean. I don't think this is the side of the board white wants to play on per se then. Okay, let's go back here. I also was thinking, so centralizing is not much to analyze. I was also looking at bishop f4, but I presume d5, right? I mean, bishop d3, right? Oh, pardon. Okay, let's just go back here. Let's see what was played. Oh, bishop f4 was the move. I'm a bit confused. Because I did think at least centralizing was a better idea. I didn't mind knight e2, it just seemed a bit weird to go away from the center. I also like bishop d3 immediately. I'll play on the queen side no matter what. Okay, let's see. So d5 was obviously played. Okay, let's see. Well, I'm thinking bishop d3 really is the only move. This is a really nice game to analyze because I suck at playing against these hyper-modern structures. Hello, fridge. Inside suitcase. Yeah, so this is really the only move. Because I don't know why we wouldn't want to stand on this diagonal here. This seems like where our bishop would be most happy. I'm just gonna... And I don't know why we'd engage with this capture at this moment. So let's see. Yeah, bishop d3. Also, this is not a useful diagonal to control either, by the way. Not a useless diagonal to control. And black played a6. I take a play bishop d3 after, just because I like opening the e-file. Maybe. Okay, let's continue. So a6 was played, so what are we thinking? Also don't really understand that. Black can open the C diagonal. Yeah. Like the opening of the e-files enforced. Don't entirely get the idea. I suppose it doesn't really matter that much. We're looking at white's game. I like bishop d6, by the way. Like, this is still... I'm seeing a theme, by the way, and I didn't even look at this game beforehand, so I didn't even, like, think about it. But both games, if this move is indeed correct and is played, then both games have a theme of just paralyzing the opponent on the dark squares. It's an interesting idea, right? It's just a paralyzing move. It seems good. I like it as well. I like it more than something like pawn e5 first. Like, we're really not scared of black taking, so... Like, this tension is not bad to keep for now. Bishop d6 seems good. Okay, people are just in agreement. So there's not really much to calculate. Like, the bishop is really hard to kick there, so... Yeah, and he did indeed play it. I mean... If I had to come to an like a5 is also kind of natural, by the way, if anyone was thinking that. Bishop d6 just winning already. I don't, yeah. Bishop d6 and then e5. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the next move. Right, just paralyzing on those dark squares. Also, there's a problem with playing e5 immediately. That's probably c5. So let's see, what did the opponent play? Opponent played pawn f5. Ooh. I mean, we just kind of push, right? Like we've prevented the other pawn breaks. So here black is just kind of suffocating, right? After e5. I suppose it's not like it's not entirely over. Like black can definitely play on the king side. But this is just really nice. e5 should be crushing. I'm not sure. I mean, you're definitely better. I do think though that like for example, the black king is still pretty safe, and white doesn't really have immediate threats. Though you are kind of better forever. With crushing, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, e5. And actually the author added a little note here. They say, now that the pawn break c6, c5 is not an option, this is the most principled move. Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I like b4. You know that? Sorry, I'm not gonna analyze b4. But yeah, okay, so quick assessment of the position. White has a space advantage, meaning that we can maneuver the pieces for the rest of eternity. Black also doesn't really have a good pawn break. And white is gonna definitely get a well-timed pawn break in at some point. Okay, let's see. Rook g8. Okay, fair, on opinion. Simple idea. Okay, what's the next move? Well, my book almost closed. So... is it sensible to want to bring the knight here? Probably not. Because like that's just g5. And I'm not quite sure if... like this is a plan that black wants to do anyway. How about b5 for black? I like b4. I mean, we can look at b4 here, I suppose. I do... I mean, I kind of like... The thing is, we kind of want to play on this side. Because this is where... And this is the thing about closed positions. You kind of want to play where you have a space advantage. So right now, first of all, you have a space advantage in the center. But a characteristic of a closed position is that the center is closed, so... And we have an advantage on the kin side, so... Kind of want to play there anyway. So before I get it, but just strategically speaking, I'd much rather make moves that focus on the kin side. Though if Alekeen plays a move like before, then I'll give you your GM norm. We have actually, yeah, we just have a crushing space advantage everywhere, don't we? I mean, if you want to play it really slow, you can play a move like A5. Though with that, then we don't have a pawn break, I suppose, on that side. Someone said G4, that is interesting. G4 seems like a really fun move to make here. And I love it, I kind of love it. Like, we can't take because this pawn is loose. So I suck at throwing arrows today. We can't take because this pawn is loose. It's protected, but it's just always a target. Actually, you can't take either because the H file opens, right? No, okay, so we're in... It's just not good to take. So oh, you can tell I've been streaming for over 3 hours. G4 is smart. I think it makes a lot of sense. What's Black's best move? Wow, it just seems crushing now, doesn't it? It's hard to come up with defensive moves. Like, in a position like this, I'm very often tempted to play a move like A5. By the way. But I really like G4. That is super clever. Rook G8 was so weird. Well, Rook G8 is just to unpin. Right? Wow, finding a defense here is hard. Probably because there just is no good defense. Ooh. Yeah, I don't even begin to know what Black is supposed to be doing here. I would love to trade dark square bishops. So let me just play a move like Rook Bishop F8 as a pass. Also, it has the added benefit that we enable this alignment, so... I'd always give up the F8 rook for the D6 bishop here, that is true. Yeah, okay. I also think he's probably looking at some counterplay here. I think my skill to analyze the chess position is going downhill, but I need more coffee. Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. So bishop f8. Just like making a move. Aiming to trade off dark square bishops. And what's a good move here? Like, I presume it's on like g5, just h5 to keep everything closed. That is weakening, I suppose. Also, now we have the f4 square to work with, right? Ooh. Oh, this position really does play itself. Yeah, so maybe... Oh, pardon. Yeah, bishop f8, g5. Why not? h5, we reroute our knight in. Seems really good. Okay, I think I'm a bit convinced that g4 is correct. Let's see what the world champion played. See, we're at move 15. Oh, they played pawn h4. That is interesting. I would guess... I mean, we're... yeah. Let's see what the engine says. G4 is just so nice. No, the engine agrees, H4. I don't even understand it. That's the problem with Alekai games. We're really starting to get to the first ever universal player. H4 and potential H5 pawn sacks. The thing is though, Black is not gonna take your pawn, right? Because, okay, how do I make a pass? I'll make a pass here. Like, the H5 just G5. Like, there's absolutely no way we're gonna take this. H4 with G3 as the idea to play King G2 and Rook H1. Yeah, but this file's not gonna open. Right? Like, I could see the argument being controlled F4. Because knight e2 is a very natural plan here, just recoup in the position. Regroup in, sorry. But even then... Because you are right, if the H file opens, white wins. Right? So, and from that perspective, we get a knight here, they can never kick it. Because then said H file opens up. So, that might be the idea. But I'm a bit lost. And also, it's just taking more space on the king side. And this is definitely a form of counterplay for black. Okay, let's go on. So, black here played... black played b6. That is really depressing. So, we've played h4. So, I would either really love to put a knight here, so knight e2. I would also like a5. Though a5 is playing on the other side of the board, so... it makes sense though. Will this be a video? Probably not, because I've not been recording it. So then I have to work with all this like music in the background. I predicted b6. Awesome. Awesome stuff. There are a lot of reasonable moves here. At this point, centralizing our rooks doesn't make too much sense anymore though, so... Yeah, just either knight e2, a5. Though I like knight e2. Knight f5, yeah, that's the plan. Knight f5. Knight f5 to make e6 a target. Yeah, knight f4. Yes. No, this is the plan. Knight e2, knight f4. This knight just stands really good here anyway. Because if the, like we said, if the h file opens, black loses. And we have some targets. I would just play knight e2. I wouldn't even think much. Never analyze chess games with viewers at G4 AM. It's a terrible joke. Oh, but I'm laughing, so... Yeah, he played knight e2. Okay. Let's see, in black played knight f8. Okay, logical. Long-term plan, right? Black really wants g5, so something like this. Knight to h7. At least I think that's what the idea is. It is a very slow plan though, so... We definitely have something here. So I would really love to play knight f4 here, right? G3. Let's see, pawn g3, king g2, knight g5. Still works. That is... It's also very slow, but... Okay, so your idea here, pawn g3. So if I just continue black's idea, king g2, and you want to play rook h1. Oh, it doesn't work. a5 makes sense to weaken the queen side. Now the problem is b6 prepares c5. So black can actually get some counterplay in the center. a5 makes sense to weaken the queen side dark squares. I do like that. Yeah, I think this idea is a bit too slow, and b6 that supports c5. No, not rook h1. Okay, then I'm misinterpreting your idea to begin with. So anyway, we've seen knight f8. I might be wrong that the idea isn't to support g5, but that sort of is what makes sense to me. I mean, I guess it's also adding an extra layer of protection to e6, so it's on prophylaxis as well. So a5 makes sense to weaken the queenside dark squares. I like that move a lot. I like that move a lot. It wouldn't surprise me if it's the most like reasonable looking move here. Because obviously after b5, like you said, it weakens the dark squares. There's no counterplay in the center anymore. Maybe play b4 and then do it? A5 is more effective, right? Taking is of course nothing, right? So yeah, you don't have a lot to do here. Like that's the immediate c5, I suppose. You can probably just take and wait, does our bishop get trapped? Okay, so maybe not. No, I don't like that actually. Okay, so c5, a5, c5. Sorry, I'm a bit tired, so I'm a bit slower with these ideas. And if we play c3, c4 here, b5? I suppose we have nothing here, right? I like a5. I really like it. Conceptually, it seems like the correct idea. c3 first, so like c3 over here. Yeah, but the problem isn't c3. Well, yeah, it is like concrete that we can't take on b6 because our bishop gets trapped. Like we can also play it here. The problem is. You know what, it's a5, c5, d... Ah. Oh gosh, I am very tired, aren't I? Guys, I think I should end stream. Oh, I've been doing this for too long. If I'm not noticing this, then it's too late for me, isn't it? Yeah, I'm thinking of quitting here before I make a complete fool of myself. I'm glad someone smacked me back to reality. Well, like, yeah, but like, the thing is, my analysis has just been going down since we crossed the 3-hour mark. We can pick it up later. Man. I'll play a good song to play everyone out. I'll play a song. Let me just shut down this. I'll put the song that I started the stream with by Shadrow, amazing musician. The song is called Bottleneck. Alright. I'm sorry, newbie. That's a weird name. I'm an in stream. I'm called in the executive decision. By the time I can't notice that a pawn is attacked twice. Sign into chat. Oh yeah. Okay. Bye people. This was fun. Bye bye.
He started out with the perfect plan. Follow the leader when the leader doesn't exist. Began a 1 in several million man. He jumped the line with a creative twist. But does he know exactly where he's gonna go? Because we know he's playing on the radio. And does he know he's the director of the show? Because we know there's only seconds left to go. Harness the craft, put it to the grind. Stick to the schedule so that people cannot forget. It starts to show he's got a one-track mind. Ask if he's happy and he'll start to sweat. But does he know exactly where he's gonna go? Because we know he's playing on the radio. And does he know he's the director of the show? Because we know there's only seconds left to go. He sees a window and he goes for the kill. He beats them all until they're gray. But oh no, turns out that it doesn't work that way. Locked in a room, walls are painted green. Scrunches his paper for the 100 millionth time. Throws it into the garbage on the screen. Puts on a face to show that he's just